on, everyone? So the Lakers are officially in the play-in as the 7th seed. They have home court throughout the play-in. Get the job done on Tuesday. Go win that game. Don't underestimate the Minnesota Timberwolves, whether Rudy Gobert plays or not. They're going to miss McDaniels. There is no Naz Reid. That's huge. Those are two very key, valuable pieces for Minnesota. And then if Rudy misses, then he misses. If he doesn't, he doesn't, right? Regardless, you have the task at hand. Get it done, win the game, and you're good. But the big question is, and of course, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions on this as well, is what should the playoff rotation look like, right? Darvin Ham definitely has his hands full because this is a very deep, talented Lakers team. And there is a real argument for like 12 guys at least. But you're not going to run 12 guys in the playoffs. Very likely, right? Maybe certain games, certain matchups, whatever. Maybe you try to throw a couple things, or you're just having a really bad game. Maybe you try to throw a couple things to stick. But more times than not, you're running 7, 8, 9 guys at the most, right? So Darvin Ham hopefully already has that idea mapped out. And that's what the regular season is for. Who are your core 8 to 9 guys that you're going to run on a nightly basis? For starters, the easy ones are big three, right? D'Lo, LeBron, and AD. Those 3 guys are going to start every game. Those 3 guys are probably going to play heavy minutes. They're going to be the guys that the Lakers really rely on heavily. D'Lo for his playmaking and scoring ability. I think he is definitely going to be arguably the biggest factor outside of course, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. LeBron James and Anthony Davis are going to be playing probably 40 plus minutes a game, right? Like at least, hopefully not, because if we do our job and we start pulling away a little bit, then that would be good. And then you can, maybe keep their minutes relatively low. But if if it calls for it, you're gonna ride your guys, right? It's the playoffs. You win or go home. So there is no you're playing these guys too many minutes. No, if they have to play 48 minutes a game, they play 48 minutes a game. You go until the wheels fall off. Now, obviously, health is a big factor, and you want them to be as healthy as possible. All 3 of these guys have dealing and currently dealing with all kinds of ailments. D'Lo already said he has to manage this foot injury that he's dealing with, but he still looked very solid, still looks very good. He's shooting 43% from 3 or 42% from 3 from the Lakers, averaging 17.5 points. On top of that, he's shooting just under 50% from the field, period, which is really good. So he's been very efficient, very effective for the Lakers. Anthony Davis, when he plays, he's the best player on the planet on both sides of the basketball. He is just an absolute monster. Playoff AD, I expect to be great. And then LeBron, enough said. It's LeBron James, right? But beyond these 3, Austin Reaves is probably the 4th guy that's going to play the most minutes, right? He's the guy that they're probably going to ride heavily. He appears at least to be the most healthy out of these 4 guys that, the 3 and then Reaves. So I can see Reaves playing heavy minutes, 40 minutes a game. He's really evolved and just stepped and grown into his own. And it's been remarkable to just see what he has become as a player. And so I really expect the Lakers to ride him heavily. The Lakers are better with him on the court than without him on the court. So you want to play him as many minutes as possible in as many spots as possible. So he, in my opinion, will definitely get the nod, whether it's in the starting role, whether it's bringing him off the bench. I still like Austin Reaves personally in that gap role. I don't think it's improved our starting enough to justify it, but it has affected our bench, right? It's not like we've just shot through the roof as far as starting unit goes and all that stuff, moving Austin Reaves. No, we've kind of been in the same spot, and our bench has suffered greatly. But whatever ends up happening with Austin Reaves, he absolutely deserves to start, but it's just like Manu Ginobili, right? There was tons of arguments to start Manu, but he was just so good off the bench, leading that bench unit. That's kind of how I feel about Austin Reaves, at least right now. Maybe next season you get a guy that can manage it better, and then Reaves can be your starter. We'll see how it goes. But Reaves, I definitely think, will get a heavy dose of playing time in this rotation. So there gives us 4, right? So then the 5th guy and arguably 6th guy, I think you got to play Schroeder and Rui, right? I think those two guys definitely deserve some minutes, especially for matchups and stuff like that. Dennis Schroeder as just that other ball handler between LeBron, Schroeder, D'Angelo Russell, and Austin Reaves, that you basically can always have two ball handlers on the court at all times. Not just that, but Dennis Schroeder is our best point of attack guard. So I think you have to play him. He has some value. Yes, Darvin Ham likes to lean on Dennis Schroeder a little too much, which I hope doesn't happen, right? Like, I don't want Dennis Schroeder playing 30 minutes a game. I just don't think he needs to in the playoffs. Regular season, fine, no problem. But in the playoffs, unless he's having just some like stellar game, obviously, because you want to stick with the guys that are hot, right? You want to stick with the guys that are impacting the game. And Dennis Schroeder has had some great games this year. Don't get me wrong. And I feel like a lot of people forget that like Dennis Schroeder is on a vet minimum. He has way outplayed his contract. And so to have him and his ability to be the point of attack guard, play some solid defense, and also we've seen him and his ability to get to the basket, score, knock down the three ball occasionally. We've seen him get hot some games. If he's playing like, the Dennis Schroeder that we've seen take over games and take over down the stretch and, basically single-handedly win games, then yeah, he definitely deserves to play. But I do think you need to give Schroeder some minutes. I think he's a guy with experience, guy that can do multiple things. I think that's very valuable. And then Rui, like, if you look up Rui's playoff stats, he's actually better in the playoffs than he is in the regular season. Now, it's not a huge sample size. It's not like the Wizards were like a perennial playoff team, but still, it's a good sign, right? Rui has been much better for the Lakers as of late. Kind of seems to have found his groove. Even LeBron James has talked about him recently and said, hey, he's a rhythm guy. We got to get him in rhythm. We got to get him going. And he's a guy that if you get him going, he's a 12 to 15 point a night guy easy. I think he could be a 20 point a night guy if you give him enough shots. But realistically, with everybody that we have, he's probably not going to get 20 shots a game. But he is a guy that I do believe can go and get you 10 to 15 points per game, which is very valuable. His size and his ability to guard multiple positions as well as rebound. He's not very quick-footed, right? So you see him, he struggles against the faster wing-type players, but he's great against guys even bigger than him, right? He was great against Karl Anthony Towns. I mean, completely locked down, like in a vice type defense. He was really good because he's just so sturdy and strong, right? He's closer to Aaron Gordon than he is to like a Mikal Bridges, right? But he's a guy that can play both sides of the ball. I expect him to be part of the rotation. And then, of course, Jared Vanderbilt, right? Jared Vanderbilt's going to be the guy in the starting unit with the other four, very likely with Austin Reaves, D'Lo, basically the five that we've seen, right? Guy, not going to give you much on the offensive end. And that's fine because what he brings and provides on the defensive end is massive. He's still extremely young, high motor, high energy, going to guard the best player on the other team nightly. And his versatility is just so valuable, right? We've seen him guard, Brandon Ingram, Kawhi Leonard, guys like that. And then also guard like a Ja Morant, a Steph Curry. Like, that's incredible to have a guy with that kind of versatility that can guard big, guard small. It doesn't matter, right? And so he's going to be, in my opinion, he might be the biggest X factor for the Lakers. Doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be the biggest impact guy as far as like, scoring and stuff like that, but his ability to just slow down the other guys, right? The superstars in the world, the big time scorers and stuff, never going to stop those guys. But can you slow them down? Can you, if a guy is a 48% shooter, can you get him to like 46, right? And you might think like, oh, that's 2%. That 2% is the difference between you winning and losing a game, right? That's the difference between him getting 30 and him getting, 25, right? Like, there's also like guys, you see that they get 25 points and they do it in, 15 shots, right? Well, can you make him get the 25 in 20 shots? Because now that's taken away from other guys. Now that's disrupting the offense, disrupting the flow. Vando definitely deserves a legit spot in the rotation. It's just because of his offensive liability, how much is Darvin Ham going to be able to play him? That's the big question. But now that you're here, right? you got your big three. You got Austin Reaves, right? You got Schroeder and Rui, and then Vando. There's 7 right there. So now is where it kind of gets tricky because now you're only playing probably 2 or 3 guys more at the most, right? And you have a lot of options still. I mean, Troy Brown has a real argument. He's shooting close to like 40% now in the season. He has just been great shooting the 3 ball. Defensively, he's been solid. Can guard multiple positions, can be a real valuable guy. And look, certain matchups, right? Certain games, maybe you give him a look. Lonnie Walker, right? There's an argument for Lonnie Walker and his ability to score. He's our worst defender, like literally our worst defender, and he does get tunnel vision at times, right? Like Lonnie Walker's never seen a shot that he doesn't like, but he is a guy that can go generate his own bucket and also knock down the 3 ball and be just go get a bucket, right? And like sometimes you need that. So again, certain matchups, certain spots, he deserves a real shot and a real argument. But very likely, I think Beasley. I think you got to go with Beasley just because his ability to get hot, and if he gets hot, he just impacts the game so tremendously. But even when he's not shooting the ball well, he still provides just immense spacing, right? Because teams have to worry about him. Because even if he's like 0 of 3, all he needs to do is see 1, and then all of a sudden he's 3 of 6, and then he's like 5 of 8, and you're like, uh-oh, like this guy just hit 5 threes in a row, and we've seen him do that, right? He's a guy that can absolutely change a game entirely. And as much as I like Lonnie's not really doing that on a regular basis, right? And teams are more willing at times, it seems, to give Lonnie the shot than they are Beasley, right? Like you'll see guys literally not close out on Lonnie Walker, but they'll run after Malik Beasley because, again, he's built that reputation. And so I think you have to go with Beasley. I think you have to give him some spots. I think he gets a very short leash, though, right? You don't, like, if he doesn't have it, he doesn't have it. Take him out, right? Maybe give a Lonnie or a Troy Brown a look, or just keep the rotation tight, right? Stick with D'Lo, Schroeder, and Reaves, right? Like if he doesn't have it going, don't keep playing him and trying to force the issue, right? Obviously you want to get him going, you want to get him in rhythm, and I'm not saying like he misses his first 2 shots, take him out, right? But we've seen him miss his first 2 shots and in the same sequence turn the ball over twice and just stumble and just it just looks like you just know he's gonna have a bad game. Take him out, right? But if he's like, if he misses his first 2 shots, give him you want to give guys an opportunity to get in a rhythm, because especially a guy like Beasley, who is a volume shooter, who needs to get the volume up to be successful, right? So he misses his first 2, he might make his next 3. So again, short leash. Be weary and cautious about running him, but I do think that he deserves a spot in the rotation. And then Tristan Thompson. Biggest question with Tristan Thompson is, does he have NBA legs, right? Because he hasn't played this season. Now, the Lakers worked him out. The Lakers just signed him, in case you didn't know and you're watching this video. But Anthony Davis can't play 48 minutes a game. And you're going to need a big man to do that, right? And you need somebody. The reason I wanted the Lakers to get a veteran center, and I've really thought about this when it comes to Tristan Thompson, as opposed to like a Mo Bamba, Winnie Gabriel, guys like that. Tristan Thompson is bigger, stockier. He's a better rebounder, doesn't need the ball, high energy, high hustle guy. But more importantly, I think his experience is going to be extremely valuable. Winning isn't a guy with a bunch of playoff experience, if any. I don't think he's even been to the playoffs, right? Mo Bamba, same thing. Having a guy that you can lean on in Tristan Thompson that you know is going to be out there, he's going to do his part, he's going to play his role. He plays off LeBron great. He knows LeBron. He knows what LeBron likes. He knows what LeBron's going to expect from him. I think that that is a huge thing as well. That really puts him in a position to be successful with this Lakers roster. And I just think if it comes down to winning and Tristan, I think you go Tristan, right? And then if it comes down to Mo and Tristan, I think you go Tristan, right? Because Mo Bamba, even though he's 7 foot, he has a lot of issues, right? He's not a great defender. He's not great at moving his feet. He's a great shot blocker and help defender, but that doesn't mean he's a good defender. Gets into foul trouble heavily. We've seen when he's on the court, teams attack him. And it's not like he's looked great since he's been with the Lakers. I see a lot of people that like really want to see Mo Bamba get a ton of burn. And look, I was super high on Mo Bamba. I was saying that the Lakers should have gotten that they should have traded for Mo Bamba like a month before they actually did it. Like I wanted Mo Bamba for some time because I think his potential is great, but he's a project. The Lakers didn't get Mo Bamba for a second round pick that they got from Denver because, the Orlando Magic were just trying to help the Lakers win a championship, right? Like, hey, let's give you the next Dwight Howard. No, right? He's going to need development. He's going to need his time. He's going to need to be, worked on. And when you're talking about the play-in and playoffs, stuff like that, you can't run the risk of a guy trying to figure it out on the fly, right? Because that can be the difference between you winning and losing a game. The problem is, which I touched on, is Tristan Thompson NBA ready, right? He had a good workout. He was in shape. Everything looked good. He has the experience. He checks off everything that you want him to check off. But there's a big difference between being good in a workout and being good in an NBA game, especially a playoff game. He hasn't had time to get his feet wet, which is why I wish the Lakers would have signed him earlier, so that way he could have gotten a couple games under his belt. And look, it's very possible that he doesn't play at all. I just think if it comes down to him, Gabriel, and Mo, you go with Tristan. But if Tristan doesn't have his legs ready, you got to go with Mo Bamba, right? Winning, I like winning. Defensively, hustle, rebound, and all that stuff. I just think if you don't have Tristan Thompson that you can rely on because he's not NBA ready or game ready, you got to go with the 7-footer. And everything that I said is true. He's a liability at times. He doesn't really provide much offense outside of knocking down the 3 ball. He hasn't looked great with the Lakers. And, he's going to get in foul trouble and teams are going to target him. But he's still 7 foot with a 7'10" wingspan and is going to affect shots. And if you have 10 minutes a game where you don't have Anthony Davis, Mo Bamba needs to be the guy to step in and play that role. Again, assuming Tristan Thompson isn't ready to go. If Tristan Thompson is ready to go, then I think you go with him and you let Mo Bamba sit. But I wouldn't hate it if Mo Bamba is the guy in that backup role. And I know a lot of Laker fans would love it, but I just think ultimately you got to go with the guy with more experience, a guy that you can rely on and trust over Mo Bamba, who has his question marks at times and doesn't have the experience and is going to be in high pressure. And, let him get to that point, right? Yeah, and I understand the way you get to that point is you get put in those situations, you get put in those moments. Can't play around, right? We just can't. We're not in the position this year. Next season, when we're starting fresh, let him play 20 minutes a game, right? Especially with AD, let him get some breaks. Keep his minutes low. Let him have nights off, load manage, all that stuff. Great. But I think for this play-in and for the playoffs, you need to stick with Tristan Thompson if he's ready to go. But again, you have so many options, so many arguments. There's so many players on this team for depth. And maybe Darvin Ham could only go like 7 guys deep for all we know, right? He could go the starting 5 we've seen, Rui and Schroeder for all we know. Like that could be it. But ideally, I see Darvin Ham going 8 to 9 guys, which I think he should. But what do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think, like, yeah, that should be our rotation, nothing more, nothing less? Do you think no? Would you cut anybody? Would you make it shorter? Would you make it longer? Would you, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, let me know. Let's talk about it.